just a big combination of all different types of lighting of particles and shadows of particles and just giant amounts of particles in general. With good animation. Good work by the effect artist. Okay. Let's move on to terrain. Terrain is really another big aspect of all the Valve games that we always have large-scale terrains. And we're proud of returning back to that major heritage on VF3 as well, and having even larger scale than we had in VC2. So we have really got quite vast view distance on many, not all landscapes, but many of the landscapes on the display levels, like Operation Firestorm level you're playing here. And this is made up of a couple of important components here. First of all, the memory requirements for having giant terrains is actually can require a lot of memory, both for the height fields, but also for the textures and the normal maps and all the type of detail that you want to fit in there. So we developed a sort of hierarchical streaming system for our terrains, so you can seamlessly just move over the terrain and it streams in higher detail as you get closer to the objects, because you can't see all the detail in the distance. But at the same time as we did that, we really wanted to be able to see all this small type of mountains and detail in the distance of the terrain. Both on the actual silhouettes of the terrain, but also inside the terrain. And we did this, we implemented this by using sort of a pixel normal map. So we have this pretty high resolution height fields load in that we convert over to normal maps to be able to light them on the pixel level correctly. So that's why you still see all the detail inside the mountains here, on the sides of them. But we found that, well, with the X11 we can go even further here, so we implement support for both tessellation and displacement mapping, so it sort of go hand to hand with our terrain. It's very nice, fit in very nicely in order to create even further detail on the terrain to keep our silhouettes and stuff like that. So this is another terrain screenshot that we'll zoom in a little bit on, where you can see that. So, well, you see a lot of detail here in general, but if we zoom in on it, so this is how it looks like when you're using the standard normal mapping. So just look at this screenshot, it looks pretty good. It looks actually, well, the internals of the terrain look really good. But the silhouettes, we don't really have that many triangles to be able to keep correct silhouettes everywhere, especially when moving around dynamically in this environment. So silhouettes are a little bit low risk here. But then when we add the displacement mapping instead, we try and really keep these high resolution triangles and keep the still detail we have on the edges. And this is something we can only do on the X11, because we're rendering the terrain now with, instead of rendering with 100,000 triangles or something like that, we're rendering with 1 million triangles in these type of scenes. Good performance, actually. It's pretty good with all the X11 CPUs. So this is enabled with the terrain quality setting in the engine, when you set it to high or you set it to ultra. It's not really apparent on all levels though, like Operation Metro, even if you displacement mapping there, it doesn't really matter because it's just a flat park area. But these type of mountainous levels, it's a lot more visible on. That's displacement mapping, yes. This one. Tessellation and displacement mapping, yeah. Another really important aspect of terrain is not just the geometry. If you have a lot of geometry, if you have 1 million triangles on the terrain, it doesn't really look like a terrain. You need good textures on the terrain. You need a good way of shading and rendering the terrain. So we developed a scheme that we call procedural virtual texturing on our terrain, which is a method of combining tons of different types of textures and many layers of terrain sort of in a semi-procedural fashion across our terrain and render that into a virtual texture. This is not really